The abandoned zoo smelled of wet leaves and old popcorn. Cages leaned open to sky, a carousel horse lay on its side. The place had been empty for years, but echoes kept the place awake. Then one damp morning, the 4 cloud-white otters arrived, Lumen with a small satchel and steady eyes, Puck who bounced at the brim of a scarf, Mira with soft spectacles, and Sol clutching a creased map. They moved in with the quiet of friends who had made a habit of finding each other. "We've come to check the old scavenger hunt clues," Lumen said softly. "It might be more than clues now," Mira replied. Then they moved on. They spread out among the rusted enclosures and shared names to anchor each other. Lumen took the lead with a calm voice, Puck supplied jokes, Mira kept notes, and Sol traced maps with a tentative finger. Their cloud-white fur made them easy to spot against the peeling paint and moss. "We should check the central pavilion first," Puck suggested. "Yes, the clues started there," Sol answered. Then they moved on. From the other side of the lot came a trio of cantaloupe-colored otters, their fur warm orange against the cold metal. They were compact and quick, and the air around them felt like a closed, deliberate plan. The 3 moved with a syncopation that suggested practice. The cantaloupe group had eyes on the same old prize, the peculiar appliances left from a long-ago fair. "We take the pavilion tonight," the taller one murmured, and the others hummed assent. Then they moved on. At the heart of the pavilion sat an old toaster like a relic, chrome-dulled, slot mouths like 2 small windows. The town had used the pavilion for a scavenger hunt every autumn, and rumor said one year a betrayal had tied itself to the machine. Rumored voices from the toaster tangled with the lost clues. Mira found a torn list of items and a sentence scratched into a bench, "Betrayal took the prize." Someone else had already tampered with the clues, Lumen observed. Puck sniffed the air as if it tasted treachery. Then they moved on. The cantaloupe trio had a plan that sounded absurd and dangerous when whispered, "Tune every house and gate bell in town to a particular polka, and feed those chimes into the toaster's strange hunger." If the toaster learned the rhythm, it could swell into something much larger. The 3 practiced a jingle that sounded like a march for mischief. "We can coax it to take more," the shortest one said, voice low and precise. "That will make the town listen to us," the tallest answered. Then they moved on. The haunted toaster's first protest was small, a single pop and a puff of ash that smelled faintly like burnt polka. Then the town's doorbells chimed wrong, a wobbling polka that kept repeating. The pavilion hummed. The toaster seemed to listen, and the listening made the machines around it uneasy. Lumen stepped closer, feeling static underfoot. "This machine is not just broken," Mira whispered. "It is learning." Then they moved on. Tension came in small, surprising places, over a can of old soda found among the clue scraps. Puck declared the soda spicy in a joking tone. Sol scowled and said it was just flat. The argument widened, not about soda alone but about trust and taste. Puck laughed and pushed a paw toward Sol. "This can has pepper, I'm telling you," Puck said. "No way, it's just soda," Sol snapped. Then they moved on. Before the next clue could be read, the narrator and the story paused for a breath of mid-air. If you like this strange, small zoo tale, please like the video, subscribe for more, and comment the word slop below. Meanwhile, unnoticed on the far walkway, an Italian pizza chef in a white uniform tossed a circle of dough high into the air and caught it with practiced flair. He was framed against an old exhibit window and was not noticed by any of the otters. Thanks for staying. Then they moved on. The cantaloupe otters set their plan in motion. They crept through alleys and adjusted doorbells, wrenched old chimes into a polka that blurred the town's rhythms. Every chime they tuned fed a frequency into the toaster, and the toaster drank it in like a hungry tongue. Late that night, the toaster popped a tiny, triumphant puff and a shiver went through the town's lights. The plan worked too well. The tallest cantaloupe smiled, pleased. "Listen to them sing," he said softly. Then they moved on. The 4 cloud-white otters tried to stop the toaster directly. They opened panels, tapped wires, and sang simple lullabies into its slot. For a brittle minute it calmed, then shuddered and snapped a spark that singed a satchel strap. The otters retreated, breathless and frustrated. "We need more help," Mira said, tugging at a singed page. Lumen clenched a small paw and admitted, "I'm out of ideas for now." Then they moved on. Meanwhile, the soda argument escalated like a small, personal storm. Puck insisted on the soda's spice as if that claim proved a larger point about their differences. Sol pushed back harder, and a wedge grew between them until Mira stepped between with a careful paw. "It's not the soda," Mira said, "it's how we say things." Puck's laugh came out thin. "Fine, then don't drink my peppered can," Puck retorted. Then they moved on. As the polka-chimed power fed the toaster, the machine swelled into a terrible apex. It began to ring like a telephone, and an impossible, hollow voice called across the town as if dialing the sky. Lumen saw the assembled worried faces and heard a plea in the static, "Come answer." For a beat, Lumen hesitated at the edge of courage. "I can't do this tonight," Lumen said quietly, and turned away. The toaster's voice rose in one impossible sweep and the sky dimmed. In that silence, the cantaloupe otters grinned as the balance tipped. The world folded inward as if listening to a last, wrong chord. Then they moved on. After the silence, failure tasted like cold ash. The otters huddled and sifted through old clues until Puck, jittering more from guilt than caffeine, muttered a silly phrase he'd read on a scavenger list years before, "Nap time." At once, without fanfare, one cantaloupe otter's lids drooped, the others blinked and yawns spread like a contagion. It was absurd and perfect. The villains fell into immediate, heavy sleep. Puck didn't believe it, then watched as the largest orange companion curled up mid-step and snoozed. "Say it again," Mira urged. "Nap time." Then they moved on. With the antagonists asleep, the cloud-white otters moved fast and kind. They bundled the 3 orange otters in warm blankets and carried them away from the toaster, then rewired the town's chimes to play a slow lullaby instead of polka. They unplugged the toaster, wrapped it in an old scavenger clue cloth, and placed it under a hedge, where it could no longer learn the town's rhythms. "We do this so no one else gets hurt," Lumen said, careful and kind. Puck hummed the lullaby as they worked. Then they moved on. Once the toaster was secured and the trio safely asleep and unharmed, the community around the pavilion stirred. Neighbors from the town, nostalgic scavenger hunt veterans, arrived with hot tea and extra hands. They helped solder a safer circuit and planted a bed of marigolds around the table to remind the town of gentleness. The dispute over the soda softened like sugar in tea. Sol and Puck sat side by side and tasted the can once more, laughing at how seriously they'd taken small things. "Maybe it's a little spicy after all," Sol conceded. Puck grinned. Then they moved on. Normal returned slowly. The pavilion hosted a small, improvised fair where people told the new version of the scavenger hunt story with kinder endings. The 4 cloud-white otters had changed. They moved with a cautious confidence and kept an extra blanket in a satchel for anyone who needed it. The soda question became a friendly ritual: taste it together, decide together, and accept different tongues. "I like it warm and spicy," Puck said easily. Sol shrugged and smiled, "Maybe it's spicy for you." Then they moved on. A short, clear note before the end: all slop in this story were generated using AI. This is a straightforward disclaimer to let you know that the small, silly details labeled slop, the odd lines in the scavenger list, the accidental dialogue and meta aside, were produced by an algorithm. The spirit and warmth of the evening were made to feel human, and the disclaimer is only to be transparent about the slop's origins. Thank you for listening. The end.